Hi, everybody, and welcome to Wisdom Circle. I am so happy to see you. Does it almost not feel like 2 weeks since we saw each other last time? Like, I don't know, it's gone by kind of fast, and it's gone by kind of slow, hasn't it? I'm so happy to see you. So welcome. You guys have some interesting things on your mind tonight, and I'm really excited about it. I have your questions from the event page. I want to thank you for your input there. And so certainly we can start there. But I also want to check in and just see kind of what you're thinking about tonight. And I want to welcome those of you who might be new. It is just fabulous to have you with us. So this is Wisdom Circle. This is, it's really funny. When I started Sage Goddess 8 years ago, pretty crazy. Our anniversary is in July, 7 years, I'm sorry, 2011. We're finishing a cycle. And when I started Sage Goddess 7 years ago, which when you think about it, right? I mean, most companies, most ventures that begin don't last 7 years. So the first thing I want to say is, and even thinking about the fact that we're completing a cycle, I want to say thank you, because your support and your presence, a lot of you have been with me for that whole 7 years. And when I started Sage Goddess, it's really beautiful, actually, because it started with the intention to do live, free full moon ritual every month for people around the world. That was one of my primary intentions. And so I have always done that. You know, it's really funny. People still say like, oh, you do your full moon rituals for free still, and how come you don't charge for that? It's my commitment. And so this is one of my additional, I also do free new moon ritual every month that's live online. And so this is my third big free offering each month. I do it twice a month just to give to the community. And I will tell you something that's really important to me, because I teach online classes and I love it. I teach a class on gems called GemWise. We're meeting right at about 5:15 tonight. We're starting a few minutes late. I teach a class on aromatherapy called Arrow Magic. I teach a class on magic and ritual from around the world called the Magical Sabbatical. That's my oldest class. And so I teach lots of online classes that you can sign up for and take, and I think they're beautiful. But I also have this really big commitment to give back for free, almost as much as I teach for pay. And that's partly because I really believe in the concept of sacred exchange. I really believe that part of the reason that we have lasted so long, Sage Goddess is bigger and stronger than ever. We are healthy and vital. I really love the fact that your support and my work feeds the families of our team, right? We actually earned an award in Los Angeles for job creation, which is really beautiful when you think about it, that magic can create actual ways to sustain people and their families. The power of that is really beautiful. And we're thriving. And I really do believe that part of the reason that we thrive is because we're constantly returning. Free offerings like this one tonight, free giveaways. I mean, I'm sure you see online how much we give away. We give away anywhere from about, I would estimate, because we give away about $20,000 worth of stones just during our gem shows. So I would say over the course of a year, we probably give away between $40,000 and $60,000 worth of products to you. We donate to charities on your behalf if you join our live spec sales. We really believe in returning constantly. And so I want to encourage you, one of the things, with some of the questions tonight about, how do we connect more deeply with our spiritual guides, and how do we get, on our soul path, and how do we make sure that we're in deep alignment? And I think one of the most important things you can think about, and I'm sharing all of this with you, by the way, not for kudos. 95% of what we do, nobody ever sees, because we don't want credit for it. But we do want you to know, sending love to that siren, we do want you to know how much we give, because it's important that there is a constant cycle of energy. And I do think it's part of the secret to success. And so I want you to look in your own life and ask, honestly, if you're trying to deepen your spiritual path, ask where you can give. Don't ask where you can get. There's always places to get, right? Ask where you can give. Did you know the number one antidote to sadness is service? I'm going to say that again. The number one antidote to sadness, the number one cure for sadness is service. If you don't feel good about your life, Go find somebody you can help and help them. If you've experienced a deep loss in your life and you are in such sorrow you don't know how to make it through, go find someone who needs you and give to them. I promise you, the moment you open your heart and begin to give. And, it's funny, people will always, even people with us, people are like, oh, you give away too much, or you give away because you expect to get back in return. Don't give and care what other people think. Give freely from your heart, and it will all come back to you. But I think the antidote, especially on our planet right now, and what's funny is when people are afraid, as a lot of people in the world are right now, what do? Do they give? No, they hold on tighter. When people are afraid, they don't give. They clench their fists. And what does that do? That absolutely stops any cycle of abundance from coming to them. And so what I would tell you tonight is, just given what's on your mind with regard to intuition and spirit guides, because you're wanting a deeper connection to source energy. That's what I'm receiving from you, but I want to hear from you too, is just open your heart. What's the best thing to do to heal from heartbreak? And I've had my share of heartbreak. I get my heart broken a lot because I'm vulnerable. And so I open my heart to people, and sometimes you get hurt. The answer to heartbreak, the cure for heartbreak, is to love more. It's to love deeper. It's not to go, well, never gonna love again. My heart got broken, so, you have to love anyway. And I think that's one of the challenges for a lot of us, is learning how to love with an open heart, even though our heart has been broken. Don't you think that's one of the bigger challenges? I love you, Sona. My sweet Sona brought me tea just now. She's a guardian angel in my life. Thank you, Sona. Do you want to come around and say hi? Okay. She doesn't want to say hi to you right now. That's okay. You're beautiful without your makeup, Sona. Okay. So anyway, I just want to put that out there because I really do. I think that a lot of our very human suffering is rooted in the fact that when we get hurt, we lock up and we push away and we say, I'm never going to do that again. I'm not going to give anybody anything. I'm not going to open my heart. I'm not going to be generous. I got hurt. And it's like, it's actually, when you get hurt, it's a teaching moment for the universe to show you that you actually have to do the opposite of what feels natural, which is to close up and clench up. And think about it this way too. I've said this before, and then we'll get to what you want to talk about tonight. There are two ways to age. I'm saying this to you as a woman in my mid-40s, so I'm at midlife, okay? There's two ways to age. You can either shrivel up or you can bloom. The people who shrivel up in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and I say this from really having studied this and talked to a lot of people about good aging. The people who shrivel up in their 60s, 70s, 80s, who literally develop osteoporosis and their bones start to crumble and their health starts to fail and they suffer, they can't breathe and they're in pain all the time. There's a reason that happens. And it's because by that point in life, they have locked down. There's been too much pain, too much sorrow, too much disappointment, too much heartache, too much betrayal. And they just say, no, it's never going to happen to me again. And that takes them down. The other way to age is to thrive and to bloom. And those people are saying, you know what? I got hurt. I don't care. I'm going to love again. I got betrayed. I don't care. I'm going to try again. You know what? I was disappointed, but you know what? I'm going to do it again. And I think there's really something to it. I really think there's something to deciding to love anyway. If you want to read more about my thoughts on that, by the way, I did a blog a couple of weeks ago that I know a lot of you really loved. It's one of our most popular blogs of all time. And it talks about loving people anyway. And so and that's something that you can share with people that you love. I give you sort of my 5 tips for how to give what you want in life. So you can enjoy that one too. Right? So much closed. And look, I'm not really preaching to you. I have my own moments where I go, God, I don't want to get hurt again. Or, God, I don't want to open myself up again. Or, ooh, I don't want to go through that heartache again. I go through my own moments like that. So this is a medicine I also have to take, right? We're all human, and it's really easy just to shut down on people. But I will tell you what keeps me sort of optimistic, okay, is that I really do believe in human potential. In fact, I really think what I do for a living, if you were to ask me like, hey, what do you do for a living? Because what I do looks weird, right? It's hard to describe it sometimes. But what I would say my actual job is that I cultivate human potential. I cultivate human potential. And I really believe in human potential. In other words, I believe that who you are today isn't necessarily who you're going to be tomorrow. And that you have nothing but room to grow and run and become. And so when I look at you, truly, when I look at you, I see you, but I also see your highest potential. And that's on my agenda for tonight for Wisdom Circle, by the way. This is what I wanted to talk to you about tonight, was becoming your highest self, becoming aligned with your highest self, because it's kind of the secret to everything. I mean, it's my own secret to health and vitality, is that I'm in a constant search for my highest self. And I ask myself in every moment, how would my higher self respond to this challenge, to this problem, to what that person said, to what this person thinks? What would the highest form of myself say back? Because a lot of times we know what the lowest form of ourselves would do, right? Like the lowest form of ourself is the bitter, angry, defensive, right? That's the lowest form, the judgmental. Anytime you're in judgment, that is absolutely your lowest self. Your highest self wouldn't judge other people, because your highest self understands that everyone is on a continuum moving from moving towards self-actualization. And so your highest self constantly looks and wants to give people the benefit of the doubt, because your highest self recognizes that everybody's a work in progress and nobody's really figured this out. If you have already figured it out, you wouldn't be here right now. That's hopefully not news to you. Like, if you're still alive, you still have work to do. So I think so I look at that and I say, I'm not perfect. I'm still here. So I obviously have work to do. And so I'm going to do my best to do that work. And some days I'm going to really screw it up. You know what I mean? I try, but you make mistakes. But I think that you always have to ask yourself in every moment, what is the voice of my higher self asking for right here? And if you can follow that voice, I think that's really the key to it all. Thank you for that, Dawn Fisher. That's right. Well, and she said, but don't we have to make some sort of judgment to protect ourselves from truly toxic associations? I'll tell you something. I don't necessarily think of that as judgment. I'm going to say something kind of bold. Are you ready? And by the way, if you're new to Wisdom Circle, this is kind of how it rolls. This is our free kind of you ask, I respond, I share, you respond, kind of free-flowing dialogue. One of my tips for people is that you really, really, really have to, at some point, let go of relationships where there's no energetic exchange. And that's especially tricky when it's your family. But at some point, you have to look at your relationships and say, is there an exchange here? Or am I just constantly pouring out my water can into a big hole in the earth? There has to be exchange, okay? And so that's why someone can gift you something, but there still is an exchange, your gratitude. So let's say I give you a stone. Your gratitude is the exchange, okay? Because that's an energy too. My stone that I give you, or let's say I gave you $20, money is just energy, and you say thank you, there's an exchange there. But let's say I spend 20 years doing everything I can to take care of you, and you never say thank you, you never help me, you never acknowledge that what I'm giving you in any way, shape, or form. Does that sound familiar? At a certain point, there is no energetic exchange. And so those relationships will tax you energetically. And I think we see that taxation in people in the result, honestly, at the end of life, of pain and disease and sorrow and sadness and clinical depression and lots of other manifestations. And so You know what I mean? And all of us have somebody in our lives where there's no exchange. And I will tell you, truly, from my heart to yours, we have another siren. I always stop and send energy to the sirens for clear passage. I've had loved ones in ambulances. I've been in an ambulance before, and haven't you wanted to make sure that they get there safely? So I always just send love when I hear a siren. This gets really tricky when it's your family, and I don't pretend to have all the answers, but I will tell you that you have to look across your life and say, is there an exchange? And it's okay to say to people sometimes, you know what? There's no exchange here. I need something from you. And it doesn't have to be material. It could be love. It could be a good wish. It could be a simple acknowledgement. It could be eye contact, but I need something to go here. And otherwise there's no exchange. And in almost all of the sort of tribal indigenous traditions, that concept is part of the root foundation of those belief systems, is this concept of sacred exchange. And that's what makes a good exchange, right? Is if there is a yin and a yang, right? A give and a take. And so you have to assess your own life. But I have really distanced myself from people, whether it's family or friends or customers, where you just pour and pour and pour into a vacuum and there's nothing coming back. At some point, that's dysfunctional. And it results in a lack of development on their part, because people don't learn if you don't teach. And so I think there's just sharing that with people can even be a huge awakening, because sometimes, right? Sometimes if you say that to people, like, look, there's no exchange here. Sometimes the person will say, wow, you're right. And I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not giving anything, right? It can be a huge wake-up call. And sometimes they're not ready to learn it right now, in which case you have to walk away. And that can be a really, really tough thing to go through. In my journey a couple of weeks ago, and I think I saw you right after my journey, but in that journey, I did a lot of returning to sender, right? Like just sending people's energy back to them. Because you don't also need to carry around everybody else's stuff all the time. You're not here to solve everybody else's problems. You have enough of your own, don't you? You know, you're not here to solve my problems. You're not here to solve your neighbor's problems. You're here to do you. And the whole concept of doing you, by the way, is a big deal. It's a big deal. Because so many times what happens is empaths derive a lot of pleasure and satisfaction from helping other people before they've healed themselves. And that's a dangerous thing. You can't go out in the world and really do good healing work if you're still in your wound space, right? Like, you have to be in your medicine space and your healed space to be a healer. You can't still be in the wound space. So I see you. I'm reading your comments really quick. Yeah, you know, and Pam, I see you, you know, and sometimes your family will say that, like, I'm not in the place right now, or I don't have anything to give you. And what I always remind people, it's really funny, because when I talk about exchange, I see you, Elise, by the way. When we talk about exchange, a lot of times what people will say back is, I don't have anything to give you. You know, I don't have money. I don't have anything you would want. And what I always tell people is, I just am looking for energy. I'm just looking for energy. Do you have energy to spare? And my favorite saying is, don't be stingy. Don't be stingy with the gifts of the mother. Because the gifts of the mother are free. The gifts of the mother are love, compassion, the ability to see someone, nurturing, kindness, the ability to hold someone's hands or put your arms around them, the ability to simply sit in sacred space and to be able to be with someone. Those are the gifts of the mother, and they don't cost anything. So when people say, well, I don't have anything to give you, really? You don't? I'm going to ask you to reconsider that. Because if you realize that what everybody really, really wants is to be seen and loved, people don't really want stuff you're going to give them, by and large. Honestly. Most people I know, what they really, really want is for someone to look them in the eyes and say, I see you and I love you. And I don't need you to be anything other than you are right now to deserve that love. Like, I'm telling you that right now. I see you and I love you, and I don't need you to be anything other than you are right now to deserve that. You deserve it right now. Like, everybody has that to give. And if they don't, they need to start right there. Because honestly, if you don't have that to give, the rest of it doesn't matter, right? It's presence. I always tell my kids, I don't want presents. I want presence. You know, I don't want presents. I want presence. Seriously, because the older you get, you know, death teaches us this and illness teaches us this. Isn't that the case? I've lost people I love and I've been very sick in my life. And I think those two experiences, by and large, if you haven't lost anybody and you haven't been sick, I'm really happy for you, because those are terrible experiences to go through. But man, they teach you that rather than any present under a tree or any gift that you could buy, I just would rather be with the people I love, even just in their space, able to smell them or lean my head on their shoulder or hold their hand or listen to a song together and smile, or that's presence. And you can't buy that stuff, you know? And it's funny for me to say, because I sell stuff, right? Like, for a living. That's how I support my family. That's how I support my team. But at the end of the day, and it's funny because I sell classes too, right? And so it's like, I actually believe that one of the most valuable things I sell you is knowledge, because that you can take, right? And you can use that to shape your perspective, and that can change your entire life. So I actually really like the idea of a commerce and exchange of ideas too. So thank you, Catherine Shaw, for that question. How does past trauma, especially in childhood, impact one's ability to access their intuition and be open? How do we in our adult lives reopen ourselves to spirit? Gosh, Catherine, you're a beautiful writer. How do we in our adult lives reopen ourselves to spirit and our intuition when hurt closes us? Isn't that beautiful, from Catherine Shaw? Thank you for that, Catherine. What a beautiful question. I'm sitting with it for a moment. Okay, so let's talk about that. That's one of the big struggles, because I think a lot of us are still really working through trauma from this life and trauma from previous lifetimes, right? That we have poured it over and now we carry it around like baggage. You know, like we always have this sadness suitcase behind us, right? Do you ever feel like that? Like you've got a little roller suitcase behind you full of tears. You know, it's like you schlep it from one relationship to another, and you schlep it from one job to another. And anyway, Catherine Shaw, you were a beautiful guide for us tonight. Okay. Here's what I'm going to say. Here's my 2 cents. And I would also really welcome those of you in the feed, because one of the things about Wisdom Circle is I'm not the only wise person here. The people who are commenting in this feed are quite gifted themselves. So you guys can jump on in. I think for me, there's a difference between trauma that happens ages birth to 5 and trauma that happens from ages 5 to, let's say, 12, and trauma that happens between the ages of 12 and, I'm going to say, 27. Okay. And I'll explain to you why. And there's a lot of child development that goes into this and what's happening in the human psyche at those ages. I'm glad this is resonating for you. You know, tonight, just sit that suitcase down. You know what I mean? Like, roll it on over here and park it, and then just leave it there for a minute. Learn to not have to carry that around for a minute. So trauma before the age of 5, disrupts your root chakra, okay? Trauma that happens to you before the age of 5 disrupts your ability to ever feel safe in this lifetime. I know that's a really big statement to make, but that is based both in human development and in psychic development, energetic development. That's based on information all the way back from the Vedas, right? The Upanishad, right? The sort of most basic Hindu text that many people believe, by the way, that the Vedas were directly channeled from the Galactic Library, which includes the Akashic records of everything that has ever happened on our planet. So based both in, you know, modern psychology and human development, as well as the Vedas and the ancient Hindu wisdom, that is a root chakra problem, okay? And that includes physical abuse, sexual abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse. If you have abuse before the age of 5, That is always going to be with you until you can heal the root chakra. And the root chakra, you know, that is the space, the keywords of the root chakra are I am, okay? And the mantras are I am safe, I am protected, I am well, right? Because the disruption to the root chakra is the most fundamental disruption in the energetic field that can happen. And unless you heal that, and that can happen in a lot of different ways. It's an energetic process, but unless you heal it, you're going to be going through your life for the rest of your life. And my heart breaks, really. I did not have that. I had no trauma before the age of 5. But I know lots of people, and I have thousands of clients who did. And unless you heal that, you're going to go the rest of your life looking for someone to make you feel safe. And that's going to put you in the line of some very dysfunctional adult, interpersonal, intimate relationships. Because while your partner may make you feel safe, that may be one of the benefits of being, okay, in relationship. That is not your partner's job. Your partner is not your parent. That was your parent's job. When your parents fail at their primary, thank you for that, Leslie, this is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So if you took Psychology 101, I'm not telling you anything you don't know. But that is the base of Maslow's hierarchy, right? Are these sort of basic needs around your basic human needs, the need to eat and be able to maintain physical life, right? The need to feel safe and protected, like you have a home and a roof over your head. This is stuff, the root chakra is stuff you shouldn't have to ask for. The root chakra is stuff that you deserve because you're human and you have a pulse, okay? You deserve to feel safe and you deserve to have food and shelter, okay? So what happens is, if you don't have those needs met between the ages of birth and 5 by parents, then you spend the rest of your life in dysfunctional relationship with adult people who you're going, could you make me feel safe? Could you make me feel safe? Could you make me feel safe? And then what that does to a partner is makes them want to leave because it puts them in a very awkward position of being both your partner and your parent. Okay. And so you set up this really awkward dynamic of, am I your partner or am I your parent? Which disrupts physical intimacy. Like, I don't know if this is resonating with you, but anyway, that's 0 to 5. 5 to 12, once a child is 5, they understand right from wrong, okay? So you can't really disrupt the root anymore because once a human is at the point of development where they can evaluate the difference between right and wrong action, we've moved out of the root chakra. So trauma between the age of, I'm going to say 5 and puberty, which strikes anyone between the ages of like 11 and 13, is more sacral and solar plexus, okay, which is around your center of passion and creation and creativity and procreativity, your desire center. So if the root chakra is I am, right, the sacral chakra is I desire, okay, and then the solar plexus is your power center. That mantra is I will do, I will become, I will create, okay? Like this is the will to become. And so that trauma between the ages of 5 and 13, let's say, is around, are you capable? Not are you safe, but are you good enough? Am I hitting a chord tonight? My trauma, I have minor trauma, but it is between the ages of 5 and 13. And it didn't happen in my family, but it happened socially, right? Bullying and things like that. And it went right to the core of not am I safe, but am I good enough? And let me tell you something, that's just as shitty, okay? It is just as bad to feel like you're not good enough as it is to say, I'm not safe. Because you can feel safe all day long, okay? So let's do mantras. You ready? I'm not going to show you my root because that would be kind of weird. It's, you know where your root is. So your root chakra mantra is I am, okay? Your sacral chakra, which is all of your reproductive organs, I desire. Your solar plexus is 2 finger widths above your belly button. That's I will. Your heart chakra is I love, okay? Your throat chakra, because that's your love center. Your throat chakra is your truth center, okay? And usually the mantra there is I speak, because this is where your voice is, right? Your third eye, the mantra is I know. I know. And here's what's really interesting. You ready? At the crown, a lot of us believe that you actually return to the root mantra for I am. But whereas the root chakra is I am safe, I am well, I am, it's all sort of basic needs. The crown chakra I am is I am that I am. I am source. I am connected to God. And so once you heal the root, you're able to activate the crown, which is I am safe. Not only am I safe, I am one with the divine. I am one with my creator. And that is, for me, that is the goal of spiritual development, is to go from, I don't know if I'm safe, to I can't be unsafe. I am always safe because I am one with the divine. I'm never separated from God. So that is the whole journey, right? I am that I am that I am. And that is directly from the Bible, right? I am that I am. And so that is one of the most important things to consider, is that when there's trauma in that sort of like, you know, early adolescent phase after 5 until 13, you're disrupting puberty. And so what happens with trauma there, okay, is that you could potentially disrupt the way people relate to each other in intimate settings again. So any trauma from birth to puberty has the potential to disrupt the way people are in relationship with other people, in love relationships. And so you have adults who really don't know how to be functionally with another adult. And it's all related to everything that happened to them before they even hit high school. Okay. And then I love that. Oh, look at Avery Stevens. My crown mantra is God lies within me as me. Thank you for that, Avery. What a beautiful writer you are too. You guys are just inspiring me tonight. I love it. Don says, so can you not have third eye crown opening without any of the others being overactive or underactive? I don't know that I think that's true. Do you know what I mean? I don't know that it's not necessarily like this has to be closed for that to be open, or this has to be open for that to be open. It's not necessarily like that. The one thing I can tell you is when the crown and the root are both open, the rest of the chakras tend to open at the same time. But most people don't have crown and root open at the same time. Psychic people, empaths, healers have really good, strong upper chakras. That third eye is spinning, that crown is spinning. We know our connection to source, but we tend to have really dysfunctional root chakra relationships. We tend to not understand how to ground ourselves or connect ourselves and remain safe and pure, you know, to keep the energy filtered through our systems. Super muggles who are very grounded, you know, muggles tend to be very grounded, right? They go to work every day and they are in their cubicle and they're, you know, they're really good with just things of the earth, but have no intuition, right? Again, they have nice, healthy root chakra, but nothing happening in the upper chakras. It tends to be people who are doing heavy spiritual work who are able to keep the crown and the root open at the same time. I am safe, and I am that I am that I am. I am both connected to earth and connected to God at the same time. And I can keep those channels open. And that is the ultimate goal, right? Now, here's where it gets sticky, is when you trauma after the age of, after puberty, after 13, I would say, trauma after that age really attacks the heart and the throat. Are you with me? So 0 to 5, trauma attacks the root chakra. 5 to 13 attacks the sacral and the solar plexus, because you can disrupt the puberty patterns of development and really, really confuse what intimacy looks like. Trauma from 13 to what? 100? Attacks us at the heart and the throat, and it makes us stop speaking. It makes us stop loving, because at that point we're like, you know what? I give up. I'm going to stop asking for what I need because nobody's listening anyway. I'm going to stop loving because I've gotten hurt. I'm going to stop communicating because who's listening anyway? Does that sound familiar? I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop. And I think that's kind of how it breaks down, at least by and large, right? I think those are sort of the cycles that we go through. Well, Priscilla, right? So Priscilla says, I've seriously had trauma my whole life. Where to begin? And part of me, what I want to say tonight is, this is a safe space. Like, I'm going to be honest with you and you can be honest with all of us, right? Like, if you're willing, like, yeah, I get that. And so you are going to have to do a full-scale healing of your energy centers, but it's not hard to do. And it begins with, this is the other thing I really, really, really wanted to tell you tonight. Do you know where it begins? Are you ready to begin? It begins with the intention. So funny. I was in meditation this week. I'm going to take a sip of my tea before it gets too cold. I feel like a grandma. Come on, honey, sit with me while I have some tea. It begins with the intention. And by the way, if there's any really important questions or comments, just type it again because I don't want to miss it. But I'm trying to focus here with you while I'm still reading the comments. How do you wake up your chakras? So do you guys want to talk about that too? Would you like to talk about chakras tonight? Because I think that could be really helpful for all of you. Morgan says, as a young child, I was always a peacekeeper in traumatic situations, never trusted my mother or men, took years to let go of all that. I mean, hello. It really does. And again, when those fundamental parental relationships are disrupted, the number one thing I want to tell you, okay, so let's go into chakras then. The number one thing I want to tell you, and I really want to give you some hope tonight, okay? I promise you, I have worked with people in the course of my work with Sage Goddess, but even before that, right? Because remember, I was a teacher for 15 years of adults. I was a college professor for 15 years before I started Sage Goddess. So I've been working in a teaching and learning and developmental capacity with adults as a professional for a long time. And so I think the number one thing to tell you is it's never too late to heal it. You are never beyond help. And I have worked with people who have had sexual abuse from before they can even remember until their adult years and have had complete recovery, emotional, spiritual, mental peace. It is all possible, but it really begins with the intention. And in my meditation this week, what my guides kept saying was, you have to almost become like so repetitive about this that they're going to say, Athena, have you noticed how often you say that? But they said, you're not saying it enough, which is all of your work has to begin with that intention. You can type it right now, or you can say it quietly to yourself. Truly. Oh, thanks, you guys. So much love from my heart to yours, really. And remember, in the feed here, you've got all of you have such beautiful spiritual gifts. So just know that even as you comment, you're not just speaking to me, but you're speaking to this community. And by the way, thank you, Jessica, for that. I'm talking about even before birth, okay? So if there was trauma in utero, and I'm talking about past life trauma, I brought a whole bunch of trauma into this lifetime. Did you? You know, I mean, sometimes our decks are stacked before we get here. I have had already all of the lifetimes I'm going to have. I've been shown multiple times in journey by spirit guides, looking at me, talking to me, that this is it. So I came in with all kinds of karmic debt and massive emotional wounds and physical trauma in from past lives that I remember, okay? God knows what I don't remember. So if you've had a lot, okay, you're not alone. And I think for a long time, a lot of us didn't talk about it because maybe it was weird to talk about it. But now, you know, we have a place to talk about it and a reason to talk about it because we recognize that if we don't heal it, we keep perpetuating it. And I don't care if you have children or not, whatever you do continues down your line. Maybe it'll go to your nieces and nephews. It'll go to, you know, it continues. So even if you don't have children, I think you are morally obligated to work through your karmic debt. That's why you're here. You showed up again to try and make this right. So let's talk about chakras. Okay. I'm going to try to make this simple for you. By the way, I wrote a book called The Ultimate Guide to Chakras, and you can get it on Amazon for pre-order. You don't have to, but if there's something that, if you'd really like to learn about the chakras, and if you get the book, it's not shipping till September. So even if you pre-order it now, they're not going to charge you till September when they ship it. But I do want to tell you, in case I forget to tell you, that the conclusion is for you. The conclusion is like dessert. What I did is I went into trance and I channeled the conclusion. I let each of the chakras speak, and it's almost automatically written. If you know what automatic writing is, it just came through me. So when you get that book, I know it sounds bad, but go right to the conclusion and enjoy that first. and then go back and read the other chapters. The earlier chapters were not channeled, but the conclusion was. Oh, thanks for that, Team SG, for putting the link up. So let's talk about chakras. You ready? So the chakras are your energy centers in the body. And I want you to think about it this way. It's going to kind of date me a little bit, but they're like tape recorders, okay? They think of them like spinning wheels, and they are storing information. They're constantly receiving information. And you can clear the information that is stored in your chakras. They are sort of like the hard drive, if you will, of your entire being. And so the root chakra stores all of the information around safety and home and your earliest identity. The sacral chakra stores all of your information, okay, around sex and passion and intimacy and everything that you make, whether it's whatever you make. Whatever your creation is in this lifetime is stored there, including all of your creations from previous lives, okay? Including any karma you accrued from your creations, your children in past lives, all that is still stored there. Your solar plexus, and the reason that 90% of people today have some sort of digestive difficulty, okay? 90%. Have some sort of digestive difficulty. That's your solar plexus, and that's your power center. And so the reason that we have all kinds of stomach problems is we don't sit in our power. We're either constantly giving our power away, or we are having it taken away by someone who takes it from us, right? And so lunar waters, it's exactly what I'm talking about here. That self-sabotage is right in your solar plexus. That little voice that tells you, you're not good enough for that. You don't know how to do that. You can't do that. Remember when you tried last time and you screwed up? You shouldn't ever do that again. That's all in that solar plexus. You're not good enough. You're not worthy. You screwed it up last time. All that stuff, okay? Your heart chakra is holding it's tape recording all of your relationships, all of your love, everything that you love and everything, okay? So, and think about cardiac problems, right? Who has cardiac problems? People with major relationship trauma, and it may not be from this lifetime, it could be from past lifetimes. I have a friend who, we were talking about children, babies who are born with cardiac defects, and we believe it's karmic. Heart chakra issues from past lifetimes that they came in and immediately are here to try and clear out. So they come into this lifetime with cardiac problems. People say, how does a baby have cardiac problems? Yeah, how does that happen, right? They're already trying to process through. And then the throat chakra stores all of your experiences around your truth, who you are, who you know yourself to be, what you need, what you desire. That's all right here, what you want. And if you're taught from an early age, you're not good enough for that. You're not going to get that. I'm not giving that to you. Stop asking for so much. Why do you think you deserve that? Whoa. That sits right here. And then why do people have thyroid problems? You know, what do you think that is? Thyroid problems. Okay. And then the third eye, right? Think about all of the trauma that happens in this part of the head and the brain, right? Same thing, right? Your vision is blocked. I have clients come to me and say, my intuition is blocked, but you know what? I also have these terrible migraines. I don't mean to laugh, but it's like, you know, it's connected, right? You unblock your third eye and then the migraines go away. You see that, right? Like those two things are connected. And so anyway, that's how all of this works. And so one of the things that's really, by the way, the crown chakra tends not to be a place where we suffer a physical incarnation of a blockage, but the crown chakra is a block that we feel, because when the crown chakra is blocked, we don't feel our connection to God. And I'll tell you something, like that is probably one of the number one things I'm hearing right now. People are saying, I feel like I'm losing my faith. I don't know what's going on with this planet right now. I don't feel connected to my creator. I feel like, is this it? I feel like I don't understand. I don't feel like I even know how to begin to pray or reconnect to my faith. And it's like, that's a feeling that you're getting, and that's a crown chakra. That's a crown chakra block. It tends to happen less with people on a spiritual path tends to happen more with people who are like, and you know, people like this, who wake up at 50 or 55 and they've been going to work every day and they've been married for 25 years and their kids are grown, and all of a sudden they wake up and they're like, is this it? I don't know if I can keep doing this for a lot longer. And it's like, yeah, this isn't it, but you've been ignoring your spiritual growth in favor of getting the kids off to college and dealing with your spouse and doing that job that you've been going through the day-to-day really good, but you haven't been addressing your spiritual needs. I love you guys so much. Well, you know, and I hear you. I mean, Maya says that you have a form of MS. Well, you know, I mean, I have MS too, right? So all of us have our challenges, right? And by the way, multiple sclerosis, do you know what MS is? I've spent so much time over the last 10 years really, really discerning the spiritual root of these physical diseases. Because autoimmune disease, all autoimmune diseases, fibromyalgia, MS, all the Crohn's disease, all autoimmune diseases are a result of you not feeling worthy of love. Somewhere in your hard drive, you have stored a piece of data that says you don't deserve love. And you may say, no, Athena, I don't believe that. I feel like I deserve it. You may think you do, but if you have an autoimmune disease, somewhere in your hard drive is the message, you don't deserve love. And if you don't figure out where that message came from and who delivered that message and where it's stored in your body, you're not going to get better. It's my personal opinion. You can go and do all the things, but some tiny part of you feels like I'm not worthy. And the minute you get beyond that, I am absolutely worthy of love from every direction, just because I'm alive and I believe I'm a child of the divine and I'm worthy of love on every level. If you can get there, a lot of people with autoimmune disease also have really problematic relationships with their mother, which goes to that underlying am I worthy of love thing. It's very, very interesting. Okay. So, and by the way, MS, I believe what MS is an overload, an overwhelm of the central nervous system. This is rooted also in Chinese medicine. In Chinese medicine, they talk about the root of MS being extreme duress and trauma for an extended period of time. Extreme fear, extreme terror, extreme anxiety for an extended period of time, according to Chinese medicine, will perpetuate, will facilitate the breeding ground for a disease like MS to appear. I believe MS is the absolute blitzing of the central nervous system, and that it can happen from a point in time trauma or extended trauma, and it's related in many ways to PTSD. Okay, so you ready? Jessica says she was brewed in an autoimmune fish tank. As were many of us, perhaps. Yeah, lupus is right there too. Lupus still, because lupus, right? The minute you really believe you're worthy of love, every inch of you, even the parts of yourself that you don't like, the minute you believe all of that is worthy of love, I promise you your health is going to improve, but you got to believe it. And you have to speak it to every cell in your body. I had Graves' disease. I have had Graves, Crohn's, and MS. I had Graves' disease with my second pregnancy. And then I had Crohn's disease from 18. I'm in remission now at 45. And I've had MS for almost a decade. If that ain't an autoimmune house party, I don't know what is. Okay. So let's talk about chakras. Are you ready? If you had early childhood trauma in utero to age 5 or even coming in from a past life, I want you to, we're going to do super quick right now. Ready? I want you to imagine, because your root chakra is right at your tailbone. Okay, so I want you to imagine a red glowing disc of light. That's your root, slowly spinning. And what I want you to do is imagine that wheel of light between your hips. It's bright red, like the root chakra, like the color of blood. Okay, because that's root chakra is blood, trauma, early life, right? The uterus. And so putting all that energy, I want you to imagine that bright red spinning disc of light. And I want you to send to that disc every sensation of love that you can summon. I want you to say, I love you. I want you to imagine sending love. I always imagine sending pink light to that chakra. My hands are warm already. So fill your hands up full of love and light. This is a real exercise because energy is very real and it can heal you. in miraculous ways. And just send all of that love right to that root chakra. And I'm going to send my love out to yours too. Just asking Great Spirit to work through my hands, sending all of that healing energy right to the root for everyone who needs it tonight. You feel it getting warm between your hips there, right where you're sitting, right at the base of your tailbone, just sending all of that loving energy right there. And if you had trauma, say it right now. You are safe. Tell that little girl, that little boy, they still need to hear you. They're in there. You are safe. I promise you are safe. I will keep you safe. You are well. You are loved. You deserve love. And you are welcome here. Every part of you. Because you're good. You are born with a purpose. You're so meant to be on this planet at this time. We are so thankful that you're here, little one. And it's okay. You are safe. So good. Say it, say it, say it. And if you need to cry, let that stuff out. Tears are the way your body processes energy. So let it go. It's a sign that you're right where you need to be. Tears are. Okay? You're worthy. You're loved. You're safe. Everything is fine. All is well. You are welcome here. And then right between your, a little bit up from the root chakra, between the reproductive organs, so between the ovaries, between the testes, that's where the sacral chakra spins, sits right at your uterus, ladies, okay? And so here, okay, and if you can't cry, that means your body processes energy a different way, and you need to figure out how. I don't cry, but I shake. Okay, like I'll get just a little bit of a tremor, and my hands get very warm, and sometimes the top of my head and the bottoms of my feet, because those are the three places you release energy naturally in your body: top of your head, so hands, palms of your hands, and soles of your feet. So just learn. Okay. Now Lisa says, what if you're not safe? Two things. One is you need to figure out how to get safe and get there. And the second thing is energetically, you need to, because you are already always safe in your own body. And that's the number one thing that your child self needs to hear from you. Your external circumstances may not be safe, but your internal circumstances are. And if there's a disconnect between your own ability to trust yourself, that's going to cause a psychic split. Okay, you have to be able to get to a place where you feel physically safe with yourself. Telling yourself the truth, right? Loving yourself in a way that maybe no one else ever has before. And so now I want you to send all that beautiful pink loving light right to that sacral chakra. And you know what? I'm going to say it. Here's that place. This is all about miscarriage, trauma, right? I had a cesarean section, abortion, any trauma to the reproductive system. I want to include men here. Men suffer a lot. When they are unable to have children. Sterility is sort of an unspoken wound for men as well. And so anything in the reproductive, anything around blocked creativity, feeling like you didn't finish your projects in this lifetime, anything around passion and intimacy and desire, just sending all that love right to that sacral right now. You are creative, you are whole, you are beautiful. You are worthy, again, of love and passion and desire. You are not just your life choices and what has happened to you, that you are loved no matter what you have done or will do. There is a universal love that supersedes any human love, and you deserve it on every level. And so you're just sending all of that love, acceptance, healing to that sacral. And then if you have had, right? Then if you have had, and prostate cancer too, for sure. Okay, so we're sending all of that healing as well. I don't like to leave the men out because a lot of times we end up doing that, and men are struggling too, and we need to create space for them to be able to communicate that as well. And so then to the solar plexus, if you've been told you're not worthy, not good enough, not worthy of love, not smart, not competent, not attractive, all the things that society tells you as you're growing up, and adults tend to do this to each other. You are powerful. You are worthy. Sending all of that energy now to the solar plexus, right? You are competent. You are worthy. You are beautiful. You are strong. You are capable of whatever you seek to create and become, right? You are, you are, you are, you are. So Pamela, that's what I'm doing right now, right? That's that solar plexus, that center of personal will and power. You are. Your will is active, and you are competent and capable and smart and worthy, right? All of those things that we get told, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not this enough, you're not that enough. We're turning that all around tonight. You are, you are, you are. Okay. And then I see you, Lisa, by the way. And that's okay. Right now, just be in a complete space of acceptance of what is. Don't try to force yourself and say, I should cry, or can I cry, or I don't cry. Let energy move through your body now in whatever way feels free to you. Okay. And now let's bring all of that loving pink light to the heart chakra, right? How many times has your heart been broken? Betrayal, right? Abuse, people who didn't love you but should have or could have, right? Loss, traumatic ending to relationship, right? Could be through divorce or through death, right? And so let's send all of that love to the heart space. And imagine, I always imagine just like wrapping my little heart in like a little sphere of pink light. You know, it's like, oh, little heart, you've been wounded, but it's okay. It's safe. You're well, right? Oh, sweet Charlotte. I'm going to just send some of that love to you. It's so hard when we don't have a way to resolve trauma, right? And so one of the things I hope you're taking away from tonight is there's a lot you can do yourself, okay, energetically. Healing is not, in my opinion, a physical activity. It's a quantum activity. Healing is quantum, meaning it's energetic. Healing begins in the energetic field and then it manifests in your body. But if you don't start with the intention of healing, and by the way, the intention tonight, and close your eyes right now and say it with me. Ready? Close your eyes. The intention for tonight is that you are well, that you have what you need. Say it. I am well. My intention for tonight is I am well. I have what I need. I am whole. I am releasing the traumas of the past. I recognize that I am not what everyone has said I am. I am who I am. I am that I am. I am an echo of the divine. And I love myself. I can send love to send love to the heart, love to the throat, right? Love to that third eye, love to that crown, love up to source, right? Tonight. And so before we close, we're actually at the end of our hour together. That went by really fast. My intention for you is that tonight your healing journey either begins or it expands, and that you recognize that healing is quantum. If it happens in the physical, it's because it started in the etheric, in the energetic field. Then it goes to the physical. It doesn't start in the physical and then become energetic. It's the other way around. And that's why I love that saying. You know, it's like people always say, I'll have to, see it to believe it. My saying is, and a lot of you know this one, I'll have to believe it to see it. You're going to have to believe that you are well before you experience wellness. And if life has just given you one reason after another not to believe, then you've got your work cut out for you. But you're not alone, because my life has given me every reason not to believe. Every reason, many times. But I will tell you what I have seen in my life, absolute miracles. And that's why you're never going to see me sit here and tell you I don't believe that healing is possible from anything, because I've seen absolute miracles, things that would defy reason. I have seen people absolutely healed from cancer, absolutely healed from the worst childhood abuse that you can imagine. And I mean, absolutely healed. And so I stand in that faith with you. I hate that things have happened to you. I don't use the word hate very often, but I hate that things have happened to you that have wounded you so. It breaks my heart because I care for you. But I absolutely believe with every ounce of my being that you can heal anything. And it begins just with a simple intention. And then it takes discipline and practice and dedication, focus. And then it shows up in the physical. And then people go, oh, what a miracle. And you're like, you know what I mean? But sometimes the muggles need proof. That's why I really believe that's why God works miracles that everybody can see, because the muggles need proof. The rest of us believe anyway, but the muggles need it. I saw a question from you, Bonnie, about spinal cord compression. Where was it? Whew. And then I'm going to let you guys go for tonight because I got to start class with GemWise. Spinal cord compression, T1 to T8. I would say that is heart chakra. Heart chakra and potentially a little bit of solar plexus, but they're showing me the heart. They're showing me the heart for you, Bonnie. And I'm sending love to you tonight. Well, and Leslie says, what if you feel like you don't even want to be here? Let me end on that note. You ready? I'm going to say 2 things to you that I feel like are really important. Number 1 thing. You ready? Number 1 thing I'm going to leave you with tonight. And I wrote a blog about this too. With the blog on the website, sagegoddess.com/blog, is years old, and there's some really good stuff there. If you're ever just like bored in the middle of the night poking around, you might enjoy reading it if you haven't seen the blog. There are a lot of people who talk about suicide in spiritual context. There are a lot of people who never say the word because they're afraid to. I'm not afraid to say that word. And do you know why? I have lost an inordinate amount of people in my life to suicide. And so one of my commitments is to talk about it, because I think the biggest disservice that we do to each other is actually not talking about it. And what I will tell you is this may sound crazy to you. Do you know that most people at some point in their life feel like ending their lives? It's actually a pretty common, and I would almost say a relatively normal feeling. But here's what I'm going to tell you. And if that feeling ever comes up for you, I really want you to remember what I'm telling you now. It's the most profound wisdom in some ways that I've ever heard. Okay. Most people who have a thought that they don't want to live anymore actually really don't want to die, but a part of them does. Some part of them needs to die, whether it's an old way of thinking or an old way of behaving or an old thought pattern. They know that some part of them needs to be let go, but they see it as the whole. They think the whole thing has to go. Most people who have a feeling like I don't want to be here anymore are actually really just needing to let go of a thing or a part. And so what I would tell you is, if you get to a place where you feel like, God, I don't want to be here anymore, if I was sitting there holding your hand, what I would say to you is, tell me the part that you need to let go. I know there's a part. And I will tell you, I have shed skin like you wouldn't believe. I don't even think I look the same as I did a year ago. And I haven't done anything physically to myself other than lose weight. But even, it's not just weight loss, right? Like, I'm shifting, I'm releasing, I'm letting go, I'm detoxing, I'm letting go of relationships that don't serve, I'm letting go of mindsets that don't serve. I'm letting certain parts of me die off so that the rest of me gets more oxygen to breathe. Okay. And so I really want to, when people tell me, because I'm very blessed, people feel safe enough to tell me things sometimes like, gosh, I don't know if I want to be here anymore. And what I always say to them is, I think you do, but I think certain parts of you have to go. So let's figure out how to shed those parts so that you feel lighter. And I bet you'll feel better if you do. And I will tell you, 9 times out of 10, what people say is, oh my God, you're right. I do want to live. I just need to let go of that relationship with my mom, or that, that part of me that died when my father died, or that. And so all you do is ask your spirit guides to help you release those parts that are ready to go. Give them permission. You can do a ritual. Write down. I write on leaves when I'm going to do this. Take a leaf out of your garden. Write on that leaf everything that you're releasing. I'm going to leave you with this. Write on that leaf. Do it tonight. Write on that leaf everything you're letting go. That stuff that happened to you in school, that relationship with your parent, that whatever it is, write it down and then bury it. And you will have let go. You will have let die something that needs to be released. But you have been called here for a reason. And I don't know what that reason is, but I need you. And so let that stuff go. Name it and claim it and release it. And then watch and see if you don't feel lighter and a little bit more at peace after you do that. So that's the number one thing, honestly. And I really felt called to kind of leave you with that tonight, is don't judge yourself, okay? And don't judge other people too, but make sure that they know that there's a different way. It's not all or nothing in this life. Very little is. It's all gray. You guys know that, right? It's all gray. It's not yes or no. It's maybe. It's not live or die. It's shed. It's bury. It's release. It's surrender. It's not love or hate. It's love and hate. It's not light or shadow. It's humanity. We're all of those things. And so I hope that tonight has brought you some peace and a little bit of calmness in your heart. I want to tell you that I appreciate you. I see you. I am so honored by the way that you share yourself here so openly with us. Like, I really see you, and I appreciate your bravery and your courage. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful to be able to connect with you in this way. I would tell you that, and by the way, if a lot of you are interested in spirit guides, in my magical sabbatical class, once a quarter, I take my students into what's called Elder Council, and it's a space where they get to see and commune with their spirit guides. I would highly recommend, we're not going to do it again for another 3 months, but I would highly recommend joining the magical sabbatical when we do Elder Council, if you're trying to learn how to connect with your spirit guides. In my experience, it's the best guided meditation that I do to be able to connect with and see and hear your guides. My students can give you their feedback about their experiences. But in the meantime, set the intention. Again, everything is intention. I'm going to leave you with that tonight, right? Like, keep hearing me say it. Everything is intention. Ask your guides to show themselves to you. Ask your guides to bring you signs about your soul's purpose. But what I always say is ask them to show you signs in a gentle way. I always say, teach me, but don't hit me over the head. You know what I mean? Like, because sometimes they can show you, but it's a pretty direct hit. So I always say, guide me gently, toward my purpose. Be present in my life. Show yourselves more to me. Show me in dream time who you are. Show me in meditation what the sound of your voice looks like. And yeah, so they're going to tell you, join Elder Council too. And I'll try to announce to you guys in the Wisdom Circle when we're going to do it again too, so that you can join us if you want to. All right, good night, everybody. If you're in GemWise, I'll see you in just a couple minutes. I'm going to sign off and sign back on. Take good care, everybody. It was beautiful to be with you tonight. I hope this healing and this medicine stays with you for at least the 2 weeks to come until I see you again for Wisdom Circle. Take care, everybody. Lots of love.